Welcome back to my channel. Today I am teaching you how to make a delicious, fresh, homemade strawberry pie. The filling is my mother's recipe that she has made for many years. Now in this pie, my mom uses a traditional crust with her recipe. I tweaked it a little, and in mine, I use a pecan shortbread style crust. What is so great about this crust is that it isn't sweet, which balances the sweetness of the filling so well. So come on in, have a seat, grab your paper and your pencil. Let's see what we need for this recipe. The ingredients we are going to need for this recipe is pecans, sugar, all-purpose flour, butter, cornstarch, fresh lemon, red food coloring, whipped topping, and you're going to need some water, and 2 quarts of fresh strawberries. All right, let's get started on this recipe. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on our crust. I have 1 stick of butter cut up into chunks. I'm going to melt this in my microwave. Now for this recipe, I'm using a glass pie pan. Now in the glass pie pan, the crust doesn't dip out like a traditional pie crust would, smoothly and easily. It will crumble a little bit. Now if you want to try a traditional non-stick pie pan, that would work for you probably just as good, and it'll probably dip out a little bit better. Or you could easily just put some parchment paper in the bottom, cut some out for the bottom. That will help it dip out better. But believe me, you're not going to care because this is so good. I'm taking a little bit of butter and I'm rubbing it on the bottom of my pie pan to help it dip out a little bit better. So if you're using a glass one, go ahead and do this. I have my bowl ready and I'm placing 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour in the bowl. We do not want to use self-rising flour because we don't want this to rise at all. I'm also going to add in 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. I'm going to add in my melted stick of butter. Once this is all mixed up, I'm placing this in the pie plate. Now I'm taking my fingers and I'm pressing the dough out and up the sides of the pie pan. We want to make sure it's even all the way around. Just keep pressing and pushing this up the sides of the pan. We want to make sure it's level on the bottom and even up around the sides of the pan. Around the top part of the sides, I'm taking my thumb and making a little ledge all the way around. I actually have put this in a large casserole dish before when I needed a lot more servings. It works just as well. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees and I'm placing this in the middle rack for about 25 minutes or until lightly brown. Now ovens vary, so keep an eye on yours just in case it takes less time. You just want it lightly brown. My crust is a light brown, so it's finished. I'm going to leave that on my counter to cool. While my pie crust is cooling, I'm going to work on my strawberries. I'm taking off the top of the strawberries and then I'm going to slice some of them in half. And then I'm going to wash them. Now if you want to use whole strawberries, that's just fine. I like to slice them in half because they go farther. I have lightly rinsed off my strawberries, and it's very important to have them good and dried off by the time we mix them with our glaze. If we have that excess water on our strawberries, then it'll dilute our glaze, and we don't want that. Another tip when cutting up our strawberries, do not throw away the ones that aren't fully ripened, especially the ones that are yellow or maybe orange, not quite red yet. We're actually going to use those in our glaze. That's actually what's going to give it its strawberry flavor. So be sure and set those aside in a different container. Now I'm going to cut some of mine in half, not all of them. And I'm separating the ones that I'm going to use in my glaze. I've sliced up a few of my strawberries and I've set aside the ones that's going to go in my glaze. I've drained as much water as I can out of them through my strainer already. Now it's time to dab up some of the water on top. So gently take a couple paper towels and just gently dab up some of the water. Be careful and don't bruise your strawberries. I'm taking 1/2 of a fresh lemon and I'm going to squeeze that into a bowl to use at the end of the cooking of my glaze. We only need about a teaspoon. We do not want to use bottled lemon juice. It's not as good in this. If you don't have fresh lemon, just leave it out altogether. Now we are going to prepare the glaze. To my pan, I'm adding in a cup of sugar, and I'm going to add a cup of water. Next, I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to stir my cornstarch in until it's all dissolved. I'm going to be placing this on the stove on medium. I'm going to be stirring this constantly this whole time. Go ahead and add in those berries that we reserved to the side, the ones that were not as ripe. We're going to go ahead and cook those along with our glaze. We're going to add our lemon juice in last. I'm going to move my temperature up just a little bit above medium. It's very important right now to keep stirring constantly. I want to bring this up to a low boil. Now these berries here, they will break down, and that's what gives our glaze that fresh strawberry flavor. And when we first start out with our cornstarch, it gives the liquid a white color, but we're looking for that clear color, and it's coming up really soon once it starts to boil. And here we go. There's the clear color we want. Now I'm going to keep stirring till I thicken it up a little bit more before I start adding in my food coloring. My glaze is beginning to thicken now. I believe it's as thick as I want it. We're going to remove it from the heat so that we can add in our food coloring. We're going to add about 5 or 6 drops, maybe a little bit more. Be careful with this stuff. It's really easy to get it all over you. I usually take a paper towel when I'm taking off the lid just to be safe. I'm starting out with about 5 drops, and I'm going to stir that up really well. Now if I think it needs a little bit more, I'm going to add a little bit more. I think it needs just a little bit more. I'm going to add about 2 more drops to get the color that I want. Now, if you don't have red food coloring at home, you can still make this. If you noticed, when I first took it off of the stove, before I added any food coloring, it had a pink glaze to it, just from those strawberries that were in there. So you can make this without it if you don't want to use it. The food coloring just gives it a more appetizing color. I'm going to stir that up really well. The next thing I'm going to do is add in my 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. I'm going to stir that up really well. I wish you could smell this kitchen. It just smells like fresh strawberries. It smells so good. That glaze is thick and gooey, just how we want it. It has that beautiful red color and that delicious strawberry flavor. Our glaze is all finished. We're going to set it aside and let that cool completely. My glaze is completely cooled, and I'm ready to pour this over my chilled strawberries. Wow, this smells delicious. I'm going to gently fold this around, very gently. That way every strawberry gets some of that glaze. It's ready to go into my crust. I'm going to pour this in, start at the center, and then carefully spoon it around to the other parts. Once I have my filling in the pie crust, I'm going to take and spread around the filling so that it's equal. Then I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to turn over those sliced sides of the strawberries so they're facing down. This makes for a much prettier pie. This is so pretty, and just wait till you taste this pie. Now, if you like a lot of glaze, you can always double the recipe for the glaze and just have extra. The glaze is so good you can eat that by itself. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to serve this up. Here is our finished, fresh, homemade strawberry pie with a pecan shortbread crust. You have to have that whipped cream on top. This smells absolutely delicious. You have the beautiful, juicy red strawberries with that gooey feeling and that rich strawberry flavor. Then you have the toasted pecans in that buttery crust. This is such a winning combination. I definitely give this an A+. This will be gone within 15 minutes at my house. If you have a big family, then you better make 2 of these. Thanks again to my mom for sharing this recipe. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I hope you give this one a try. If you do, let me know in the comments section below if you like it or if you have any questions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more delicious comfort foods coming your way. Check out the other recipes on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.